Good evening and welcome. I'm Peggy Sue Skipper and I'm delighted to be here this evening. And I want to thank a couple of people for making this happen this evening. And the first one is my good friend Helen Racz and her number one son, Josh. That they were sort of the impetus for getting us together. And I was so excited to come here this evening because the information that we're going to be talking about, I think, is so helpful to people who are ready to receive it. And I like the thought of being able to give it to people who have so much time to do something with it. You're all in your early 20s, right? So there's a lot of time in your life to be able to take this information and really do something with it. So what we're going to be talking about is intuitive hand analysis. And before we got started, I looked at everybody's fingerprints and I wrote them down on a piece of paper. And from that information, I decoded your life purpose, what did you come to the planet to do in this lifetime, and your life lessons, what did you come to learn? I happen to think that's pretty important information. But before we go any further, I want to explain to you a little bit about the fingerprints. The fingerprints appear on our volar pads at 5 months in the womb. That's when they appear. And I call them the kiss of the soul. And the gentleman that I studied under, whose name was Richard Unger, actually developed a system to decode the fingerprints to help people understand themselves better. And the fingerprints never change. They are the unchangeable piece of us. And so the information from that is what I call the unchangeable core piece of who we are. People talk a lot about whether life is predestined or random or anything in between. And I happen to think there's sort of a hybrid of that we have certain talents and certain challenges that are ours for this lifetime. But that doesn't mean that we have to use them. It doesn't mean that we have to learn them, but they don't leave us. So in my knowing, our lives really begin to flow when we are using our greatest gifts, doing our life purpose, and at the same time learning our life lessons. And if we're doing both of those and keeping all that in balance, then life really becomes fun and easy. And one of the reasons I was so excited to talk to you guys is because I believe that planet Earth is one of the premier 3D video games in the universe. And these are your avatars. You know, it's like we come here to play this game on Earth. And I think that the information from our fingerprints can give us an idea of what game we're playing, what game we came to play, because most of us don't remember. So are we here to be in this kind of energy or that kind of energy? And speaking of energy, everything is energy. Does everybody get that? I mean, we don't move around without energy. So we're going to be talking a little bit about energy tonight too. And I've kind of broken that down to a really simplistic formula because everything is energy. I talk about either being in the love bucket or the fear bucket. They're both energies, and every emotion, every experience can be experienced in either one of those buckets. So for instance, passion, the energy of passion, is the same energy of anger. It's just expressed differently. One's in the fear bucket and one's in the love bucket. So I call that the reset button. So, you know, any video game, most video games, have reset buttons, right? So we get to a certain point, and bringing it down to the simplistic form, if we get all wound up and angry or out of sorts, whatever, we can hit our reset button and go back to the love bucket. It's really pretty simple. And the more we stay in the love bucket, the more of the love kind of energy we get. And when I talk about love and fear energies, in the love bucket would be what? Give me some examples. Joy.
Yeah, happiness.
Happiness. Good. Anybody else?
Comfort.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All the good stuff. All the good stuff.
Bucket you
You know? Yes, yes. So in the fear bucket, we have anger, we have, what else?
Guilt.
Yes.
Guilt.
Yeah, guilt.
Sorrow.
Mm-hmm. powerlessness, unworthiness, all of that stuff. So we have the choice. You know, there's a saying that says it's not what happens to you in life, it's what you do with it or what you do about it that makes a difference. And that's the only thing we really have to control. We can't control anything outside ourselves, but I look at us each as portals of energy to enter this world. We can control what kind of portal we are, either positive or negative, either love or fear. So, and I think if we have the information and we resonate with the information about who we truly are and what we came to do here, what game we're playing. You know, they're always saying don't play games. Like, got that wrong. This is all a game, you know. But it can be a serious game, but we can't take it too seriously for the most part. We have to enjoy it. We don't have to. But if you're going to come to the amusement park, you might as well have a good time, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about what life purpose and life lessons mean. Your life purpose is your innate talents, your gifts, the energy that propels you through life, what makes you feel best, where you shine. We're all intended to be the brightest version of ourselves, whatever that is. And if we are in an arena on a regular basis that allows us to use our strongest talents and our best energies, then we're happiest. Now, I'll give you some examples of how this doesn't happen. I read for a woman one time who had a business person life purpose. She was from East Texas. She had gotten a degree in forestry, and she wasn't really happy in her life. She didn't feel good about it. And when I talked to her about a purpose, she went, oh my gosh, she said, you know, in college, I minored in business because I just breezed through those classes. They were so easy for me. And I struggled with all the forestry classes. And I said, well, why didn't you go into business? She said, in my family, women don't do business. So there are just ways that people can get off track because of the environment they're raised in, the society they're raised in, whatever. And I'm not throwing stones at anybody. Things have just evolved in certain ways. And so once we know ourselves better, sometimes we have to make a choice to go against some of our programming to be who we are. Not everybody does, but I have to tell you, it's probably more than 50% who do. I think that's the challenge, that's the game of it. You know, if you watch any movie or any really good book, the movies that last forever, they're good because the characters in them are taking themselves beyond what they thought they could be. Those are the best movies. They become something bigger and better than they thought they could be. So I think that's what we do in our lives if we're really flowing, right? Okay, so anybody have any questions? You all with me? I don't see any blank looks, so that's a good thing. So let's just get started. And I'm going to start with, well, who's on top here? Sean's on top here. So Sean, why don't you come up here and join me? Drum roll, please. Okay, this is interesting. Your life lesson is power, which is interesting because I've already read for your brother. We're going to be bringing him up in a little while. He has that too. So if there were power struggles between you two as you were growing up or even now, that's not surprising. But you can use each other to learn how to effectively use power. And let me talk a little bit about the power life lesson. And all life lessons have a pendulum swing of experiences that help us learn to do them better. Now, the life lessons, and for some reason I'm starting with your life lesson, but it just feels right for you. Most people I start with their purpose, but you're different than everybody else, so we'll start with the life lesson. So the power life lesson is about learning to effectively be in your power and stay in your power without allowing someone to take your power from you, without giving it to someone, and without overpowering anyone else. So that's your pendulum swing. There's, one end of the pendulum Somebody will be running your life for you, and you'll just wake up one day and go, where's me in this equation? So you may be a little young for that yet, but during the course of your life, you will probably experience that. And then at the other end of the pendulum, maybe you have, you're overpowering someone else. You're, involved in their life more than you need to be. So neither one of those is effective in the long run. So it's about getting to that happy medium where you are the catalyst for your own life and perhaps an example to other people, but you can't run other people's lives. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So that's your life lesson. This can show up in all kinds of really sneaky ways. I mean, our life lessons are learned only one way, and that's through life experiences. So as adults in our society, we have been told in the past, and I think this is changing a little bit with your generation, thank you, don't make a mistake. You're an adult, don't make a mistake. Well, we don't learn without going down some roads to find out it's not where we want to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So allow yourself those roads. Some people have to go way down the road before they learn it. You don't have to do that. But sometimes you have to go down a road to a certain degree to say, boy, I get that. It's not right for me. And then come back. And some people do that over and over and over again, whatever they have to do to learn their lessons. So that's the way we learn, is through trial and error. And the sucky part about trial and error is the error. It's like, I don't like making that mistake or what seems to be a mistake. But if we can look at them as learning experiences, or in the case that we're using here, we're playing the game and we just came to a brick wall and we have to go to another level, up or down or sideways or whatever, to proceed on. But we don't want to keep going in that direction. Otherwise, we're just beating our head against the wall. Okay, so let's talk about your purpose. You are an innovator by life purpose. What does that mean? That means that you really are different from everybody else. You really are. The innovators have a special intuitional tap in. They have special knowledge and information. They're always, finding the better mousetrap, the better way to do things, better systems, better procedures. They're very irritating to a lot of people around them because they don't like status quo. It's uncomfortable for them. If their lives remain too stagnant for too long, they'll come in and change the furniture around. Something's got to change. There's got to be constant movement, and you're going to be happiest if you're in an environment that allows that kind of innovative thinking. These are the people who are the inventors. They do come up with new systems, new procedures, new ways to do things. So if you go, have you ever had a job? Have you had a job yet?
Yes.
Okay. Have you experienced saying, oh, look, if we did this way, it would work better?
Oh, yeah.
And everybody goes, no, but we've always done it this way.
Yep.
And you're going, but don't you see?
Yep.
It would be so much better. So you're going to run into that a lot in your life. Innovators have a tendency to rub people the wrong way sometimes, but they do, let me put it this way, if you're not ruffling a few feathers, you're probably not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's a good way for you to kind of monitor yourself and see if you're really on the right track, because you are supposed to be coming up with those new and different ways. So one of the downsides to that particular life lesson is that a lot of times you're going to feel bogged down in the mud with the bozos. It's like, why can't these people get this? So you have to be a little patient with the rest of us and just know that most people don't like change. In fact, I would say 99 9/10% of the people on the planet don't like change unless it's their own idea. So you have a lot of, it can be headbutting, or if you look at it as a game, okay, now how do I get this across to them so that they get it? I know when I was in the corporate world, I had a new system that I wanted to put into place, and everybody was going, don't want to do that, I don't want to do it. And I said, look guys, we're going to do this for 1 month. And then at the end of the month, we'll talk about it. And if it doesn't work, we'll go back to the old way. Well, by the end of the month, everybody was on board. It was just they didn't want to have to change what they were doing. So you have to come up with creative ways to get people on your team. Because it doesn't usually, browbeating them doesn't usually work. So you're in college for business?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you're going to go into business, then you're probably going to want to go into something different than most people go into, something innovative,
Mm-hmm.
something
Out there.
yeah, out there on the edge, because that's where you're comfortable, and that's where it's the most fun for you. But just realize that not everybody's going to understand or get it, and you just have to be okay with that. Are you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I already got that. Well, good. And remember, with the power thing, this is a really interesting combination, because with that particular life lesson, you don't want to get in a position where you're overpowering people and forcing them to your ideas, and yet you don't want people to be overpowering you and squelching your ideas. So you got a lot of balancing going on here. But you only have one life purpose and one life lesson. So, as long as you're keeping those in balance, you're in pretty good shape. And you're in the school of love, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. I'm just going to give you that, and I'll give you more on that in a minute. Do you have any questions about that purpose or lesson?
No.
You got it, huh?
Yeah, sounds about right too. Yeah.
Well, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So, let's go to, who came in second? Angel. Angel. Okay, and let me see. William, you want to listen up on this? William, you want to listen when I'm talking to him about his purpose, because you got the same one. I'll bring you up here too. But actually, y'all had the same purpose and lesson. Wow. So you two are like mirrors for each other, right? I wish I could get you both up here at one time, but we can't do that. So you just bear with me, and then we'll come up here and get you in the hot seat anyway. You're both artists by life purpose. And I thought that was really interesting when you came in and you started talking about the set and how it looked and how this did that and this did that. I went, well, that's about right. So good. So what are you doing with your artistry?
I play music. I play guitar.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. You're going to need to be in artistic environments. Now, the artist doesn't necessarily have to do fine arts. Can be painting, can be music, can be dance, all of that, all the regular arts. But it can also just be extreme creativity. Some of the best teachers I've ever met were artists. And the thing about artists is they have to have an audience. They like having an audience. And that's good. That's okay. That's right and proper for who you are. It's what I call good soul food. And we think a lot about what we feed our bodies, but what we feed our souls is very important too, our emotions. And for you, that's creativity and artistry, and maybe music is the way that you do that. But that's what you're here to do. You're here to bring creativity, beauty, in whatever shape or form, to the planet. So is that what you intend to do professionally?
Well, I don't know. Well,
Hadn't until right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, the business I'm in right now, I guess there's not really much room for creativity because there's already a system. But I guess I've always been the weird one. I guess sometimes, I guess.
I like weird. My favorite saying is, "Don't be a stranger." You can be strange, just don't be a stranger. So that's not necessarily a bad thing for you to have a job right now that doesn't necessarily use your creativity, because even with artists, one of the big boondoggles, hardships in the learning curve for a lot of artists is the business end of their business. They're really right-brained, and then when you're into their creativity, are you with me here? My other artist in the room? Are you getting any of this? Okay. So being able to do the business end as well as the creative end of their business can be a little problematic, which sometimes they have partners that do the business end so they can do the creative end. And sometimes they actually learn, they build those muscles for themselves. So you're young, and however this comes through for you and ripens in you, grows in you, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just know that you are an artist, and that creativity you have to feed it. If you don't, it leads to all kinds of illness. It can lead to illness. I mean, if you're not, and I don't mean you have to be doing it as a job. I'm just saying, if you were never around music, how would you feel?
Not good.
Exactly. My point exactly. I rest my case. That's what I'm saying is you have to be around it. And you need to be around other artists as well, other creative people, just to feed on that kind of energy. Artists have different energy from any other life purpose. All the life purposes have. The innovator is actually an artistic life purpose as well. Just a little bit different twist on it. But so anytime you can get around creative people, talk creatively, you're just going to feel better. Now, let's talk a little bit about the life lesson in the equation. Your life lesson and your school is love. And it's interesting that you would hang out in this household, because I happen to know that the lady of the house is a teacher of this very concept on the highest form. So when I see the love life lesson, and it's one of the more popular choices, by the way, it is about really getting to self-love, loving yourself enough to become the brightest version of yourself. And I think that your generation does a much better job of love of self than the generations before them. So good for you. That's what I'm seeing anyway. That's what I'm feeling. So how are you doing with the whole love thing, loving yourself? You doing pretty well?
It's all right. I mean, I guess been going to the gym a lot lately. So starting with physical right now. Yeah.
Physical's good.
Yeah.
That's a perfect place to start. Nurturing yourself and taking care of yourself is a big piece of loving yourself. Mm-hmm. So, starting with the physical is really, or including the physical, is very, very important. The physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies, if you have a spiritual bent. It's important to feed all of those. And as long as you're in a body, there is no body that's more important than the other. In other words, your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies have to be of equal importance in your life. Now, most people have a little bit more of one or two, and they're not perfectly balanced in those bodies. But you don't want to ignore the physical for anything else, or ignore the emotional. You have to be working on all of those at the same time. And I have a feeling you're doing a pretty good job. But remember, this is your life lesson for your whole lifetime. So, it's always going to be a bit of your Achilles heel. So you just have to, and you guys can help and remind each other. Is that really the way you want to love yourself? Does that really feel like you're loving yourself if you do that, or whatever? Now, this will also translate to your relationships, the love life lesson, and the school of love. And every single one of you are in the school of love. Everybody in this room is in the school of love. So you're going to have emotional connections are very important to you. They're really important. So if you're not paying attention to those, if you're not working on those, if you're not working on how you're doing with relationships of all kinds, then everything in your life can get kind of squished down, smaller. The more open-hearted you are, the more energetically connected you are, the bigger your world becomes, the more fun your world becomes. But if you have this as a lesson, you're going to have a tendency to want to close your heart and protect yourself. Most of us close our hearts to protect ourselves. We feel like there's something to fear, that there's some hurt there. But and this may get a little out there. You'll love this one. But a completely open heart can't be broken. There's nothing to grab onto, you know? So if you're completely open in your heart, even if somebody does you bad, it can't really break your heart. You know, that becomes their issue, not your issue. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a little light bulb go off just a
Yeah,
minute
it
ago.
was like-
Yeah, I saw that. I love that. Well, thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so William, let's follow up with you since we've already been through your process. So did you relate to any of that?
Yeah.
So what are you doing with your artistry?
We both play guitar.
Oh, you play together? Oh, good, good.
But yeah,
So are you getting enough of that?
I play like every day, basically.
Good. And
Sometimes not.
and are you doing it professionally as well?
No, I do flooring professionally.
You do what?
Flooring.
Flooring.
Yeah.
Well, that can be creative.
Yeah, I mean, I just talk to people. So just, that's the audience, I guess.
Do you know that you like to have an audience? Do you get that? Do you get that that's good for you?
When you said it, I kind of was like,
Good. Well,
yeah.
the
I like
reason
showing off.
the reason I like to really emphasize that to the artists is that our society kind of says, oh, you know, that's your ego. You know, you shouldn't want that. You shouldn't want to be in front of people. Well, no, that's because of who you are. I mean, somebody's got to be on a stage, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it. So it might as well be somebody who's qualified. So find out what kind of stages you can be on a regular basis. Because I got to tell you, playing guitar in your own room where nobody hears you
Yeah.
is going to get old.
Definitely.
So, you know, find ways that you can get out. Do you sing too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got that. So, and that really needs to be spotlighted. You need to be in the spotlight. Actually, you are at the moment. So yeah, whatever way you can make that happen on a regular basis. I'm not saying quit your job, guys.
Quit your
No.
job and be an artist.
Yeah. Well, you know, eventually, actually, your job needs to be something that is artistic. It's not about quitting your job. It's about being who you are and doing work that's in alignment with who you are. So, but I'm not saying quit and join the circus. But, you know, if you chose to do that, it would
Might
just
work
be,
out.
you never know. You never know. That might be just the game you're here to play. Only you can decide that. So how about the love part? Did you resonate with that? How you doing with your self-love?
I think I love myself. I don't really know.
How do you know what you don't know?
I mean, I try to physically eat right and exercise and stuff like that, but I don't know.
Okay.
Emotionally, I think I'm a good person and I like good people. So
That's a real good start. That's a real good start. So it'll just be interesting to see how the universe quizzes you, because I call them universal pop quizzes. You know, certain people will come into our life to test us. Do you love yourself enough to say no to this, to set a proper boundary to this or to that? You know, and they come in different ways. They're real sneaky because they're playing a part too. They're just doing their job in your life. So, but if we're paying attention for those kinds of things, we can handle it better.
yeah, anticipate it.
Not necessarily anticipate, but recognize.
Okay.
We can be aware and recognize, oh, it's like, oh, okay, I think I'm being tested here. How do I want to handle this? And then that's where you get into the game, guys. That's when you're really paying attention and you're noticing, this is part of the game that I wasn't anticipating. How do I handle this? And where's that going to take me? And if you're paying attention when you have situations that come up and you react a certain way and it doesn't work out well for you, do you learn that and react differently the next time? How many people do you know that keep reacting the same way over and over and over again when things happen? Do you know someone like that? Mm-hmm. And it's like, hello, well, welcome to the human being game. We all do that in some regard until we finally go, oh, maybe I'm going to try a different way. So just be aware, pay attention, get your audience, and love yourself enough to enjoy that audience. That's what I'm getting for you right now. Love yourself enough to just allow yourself to enjoy that audience. Enjoy their enjoyment of you.
Okay.
You're glowing. You are. You're glowing. I love that. Okay. Thank you. All right. So, Mr. William. No, we just did you. Kyle. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm lovely, thank you. Well, you're just different from everybody in this room. Do you know that?
That's good. That's good. I like unique.
I mean, they're all nice and you're great, but your purpose is different. And you're a doer by life purpose. So you're going to be the kind of person that goes, what's everybody just sitting around talking about it for? Let's just do it. Just get off your ass and get it done. You know? Can you relate?
That's very true.
Uh-huh.
That's very true.
Yeah. So this is a special gift that you have. You're like really high energy for getting things done. And if you expect the people around you to keep up with you in that department, you're going to be disappointed a lot. And so you probably go through life thinking most people are just lazy. It's like, yeah, I really do. But you have to remember that you have a real gift in that area of manifesting things in the physical world, getting things done. You know, you're the kind of guy that I want to call up when I need something done, and I need it done right now. Now, here's the deal with doers too. They're so focused on getting it done and manifesting it physically that sometimes they don't think out their plan long enough. And so they run into little situations where they go, oh, damn, didn't think about that. Maybe I need to go back to the drawing board. But it doesn't matter because you're still going to get it done faster than the person who thinks about it for 2 weeks and then starts. You just do it 2 or 3 times before they even get started. So if you're going to go into projects with people, it's good for you to team up with kind of the thinkers, the ones who want to lay out all the contingency plans. You'll hate each other and you'll butt heads a lot. But if you can come to common ground and you can really appreciate what each other brings to the table, it makes a great combination. Makes a great combination. What do you do for a living? Because I see you like hammering. Do you do something like that?
Well, I'm going to school right now, but I used to do welding as a side job.
Okay, good. Okay. That was probably good for you.
It was fun.
Yeah, because it's very physical. You're a very physical human being. You like to work in the physical world. So what do you want to do after school? What are you majoring in?
Right now it's corporate law.
Really? What made you decide on that?
I don't know. It was just like watching shows as a kid. I always thought that would be something cool to do, and just kind of like the income and then having the authority.
Okay, it's just hard for me to see you being happy sitting at a desk all day long.
I've come to realize that once I started going to school, I was like, I don't know if this is really going to be fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be I don't think it's going to make you happy is the thing. But, you know, that's what those are decisions you have to make. But if you're having trouble just sitting in the classroom, learning about it, multiply that times 10 if you're going to be an attorney.
Yeah, I've come to realize that.
Yeah, so I think you would just really blossom and enjoy a more physical kind of work.
Recently I've been thinking about the Marine Corps.
About what?
The Marine Corps.
Oh.
That's something that I've been thinking about a lot.
I think thinking about career choice is a good idea at this point. It really is. And what would really fire you up? Welding? Fire you up?
I don't know.
No, I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. but something that will get you up out of a desk for the majority of the time, I think would be better suited to you. So you also had the love life lesson. So were you listening when I was talking about loving yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
So you need to love yourself enough to allow yourself to play this game in an arena that is fun for you. Because work can be fun. It's not always fun. It's not like every day you get up and jump for joy. Well, some people do, I guess, but not without a lobotomy, or something. I mean, there's always going to be challenges in anything you do, but the challenges are part of the game too. How many of you play video games? Okay. All right. How many of them don't have challenges in them? I mean, what would be the point of playing the game?
That's what it is.
If there weren't challenges, if there weren't things to get through, if there weren't things to overcome, life's no different. We have those challenges no matter what we do, but it's how we get through them, get around them, get over them, get over, under, reset, whatever we choose to do. But the life game's no different than that. So whatever you can get into that makes, when you get home at night, and this is really important for you, and I think this is true for a lot of people, but for you it's really important to be able to look in the mirror at night and say, I'm happy. I'm happy with who I am. I'm happy with what I'm doing. I'm happy. Even if it was a sucky day at work, whatever you're doing, I'm still happy. That's how you're going to know that you love yourself enough. And then some. I want to hear about you. I'm going to check up on you.
Okay.
You people keep tabs for me because I want to know what you end up getting that degree in. I'm very curious.
Yes, ma'am.
You have any questions?
No, ma'am.
This ma'am stuff.
He's very for the core.
I know, right? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so does anybody have any questions about what we talked about? Let's get the last guy up here, Josh. So, I don't know if you've shared with him, but Josh has a life purpose that I don't really see very often. I don't see Innovator that often either. So both of you have unusual children, Helen. But Josh's life purpose is to live his passion. And that is, it's an unusual one. And it's kind of an out there on the edge type of purpose too. A little bit different from the way Sean's is. But they're both out there life purposes. And the example I gave him was, what's that guy's name, the crocodile guy?
Dundee. Irwin?
No,
Steve Irwin?
yeah. He's a live your passion kind of person. I know that's his life purpose, has to be. He just does, he was over the top. He was doing exactly what he wanted to do. And it was his work, it was his play, it was his life, it was him. You didn't separate him from what he did. And that's, Jacques Cousteau is another example I use, but you guys probably don't even know who he is now. So we have to come up with another one. I mean, y'all probably can come up with some new current examples for me of people who just truly are living in a way that most people don't get to. And with the power life lesson. So that's an interesting combination too, because anytime you're out on the edge, and this applies to Sean as well, anytime you're living out on the edge a little bit, you're going to run into people who don't like that. Because if people are afraid of what they don't understand. They truly are. So new systems and procedures, whatever you're doing that's bigger than life kind of living, people just don't understand it. Some people. But let me tell you what I've learned in my long years on Earth. There's always going to be somebody that's going to find something wrong with you. Always. So the best thing you can do is do what is right for you and ignore them. Because even if you do something that's not right for you, somebody's going to think it's wrong. That's just the way people are. And if you're really succeeding, if you're excelling, if you're doing something out of the ordinary, there's going to be more and more people that don't understand it. that has to become their problem. Now, that's not to say that you want to irritate everybody you come in contact with, but there's going to be, I don't know, there are all kinds of examples of, like, all the indie artists now. I was just reading something, I was at my hairdresser's today. Doesn't my hair look good? And was reading an article in People magazine about some actress who used to be a really hot indie actress, and now she's gone kind of mainstream. And she said, those people won't even let me come to their convention anymore because I've gotten too mainstream. Doesn't mean you have to be like that, but all I'm saying is she had a following over here, but when she tried to go bigger and do something different, these people are throwing stones at her. People are going to throw stones. But I get a sense that everybody in this room, all of you guys, have something in common. And I think you all have an ability to tap into your own heart and your own knowing. So I hope you're using that. I hope you're really getting more and more comfortable with that as you grow and evolve. This household has been a great place for you to learn and grow, right? So all you have to do is take that to the next level. Take that into whatever arena you want to take it. What did you graduate in?
Business, actually.
Business? Okay. Well, you can do lots of creative, passionate things in business if you want to. It's going to be interesting to see. And you're kind of a physical sort of person as well, by the way. Yeah. So you would be better off probably doing something that's not behind a desk all the time. Kind of like what I was saying to Kyle. Not all the time. Behind a desk. You can do behind a desk, don't get me wrong. But if it's all the time, you'll probably get restless and bored.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but there are people, I'll just give you some examples. There are lots of jobs where you can be up and about. You can do landscaping, you can do, give me some more. What other jobs?
Professional basketball player.
Yeah. That too, you know.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. So if you can incorporate some activity, more activity than just behind a desk all the time, I think you'll be a much happier camper. Any questions?
I think I'm good. I like mine.
You like yours?
Yeah.
Well, that's good, because it's in your fingerprints. It's not going anywhere. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So there's lots of other information in your hands, but your hands change all the time. I've actually watched mine change. The lines will move around, the shapes will change, but the fingerprints remain the same. So there you have it. Somebody's bound to have a question.
I have a question.
You have two questions, okay.
You've stated love family a couple of times for us, and I was wondering, is that like everyone or this group?
Well, come up here so we can get it on the mic. Mm-hmm.
You've stated love family a couple times during this, and we were wondering if it was everyone or this group in particular.
Love school? Mm-hmm. In this room. Everyone in this room. No, not everyone. There's a school of service, there's a school of wisdom, there's a school of peace, and there's a school of love. Everyone in this room happens to be in the school of love. So, and that means that you're very loopy, by the way. And let me explain what that means. There are four fingerprint types, four basic fingerprint types. There's the whorls, there's circles, there's the loops that kind of go up and down. There's tinted arches that have a straight line and then a flat bottom, and then fingerprints that go straight across. Well, the loops are the ones that signify that you're in the school of love. If you have a certain number of those kinds of fingerprints in your hands, then you're in the school of love. So, no, it's not everybody in the planet, it's just everybody in this room. The people who are in the school of service, love and service are the two most common schools. I don't really see wisdom and peace all that much, very small percentage, but love and service are the two highest. So and it's interesting because I have often worked with couples where one of them's in the school of service and one of them's in the school of love. And they have a lot of communication issues because the service people work from their heads a lot and the love people work from their hearts more. So they end up kind of communicating on different wavelengths. But that was a very good question. Did you have another one?
No, that answered everything right there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? So y'all
go over each school and like what?
come over here.
Will you go over each school? Like
Oh, and what they mean?
peace and wisdom and all
Yeah.
the rest of them.
Yeah. Okay. The School of Service, which is the School of Love, is the most popular. I will say I see more School of Love people. I don't know if that's just because of me, who I attract as a reader, or if that's, I think that's true in the general population. More people are in the School of Love than any other. The second one is the School of Service. That's the second most popular, and those are the humanitarians. They're the ones who are here to make the world a better place, and they're really driven to do that. It's like there's a clause in their contract that says, I commit, I will make the world a better place before I leave. At least some fraction of it. They don't have to do the whole thing, although many of them think they do. They get so wound up in world affairs and trying to fix everything that sometimes they don't focus enough on their own lives. And then the School of Wisdom is, I'd like to see more of that one, actually. You guys actually have wisdom and love. I should have said that. Most of you have wisdom and love. You have both of them. We need more wisdom on the planet right now. There's the wisdom is about, because we've gotten too smart. You know, as a society and as a people, we've gotten real smart, but we've lost our wisdom. And the smarts are about getting what I want, take no prisoners, and get it right now. And the wise approach is to look at the long-term ramifications of our actions as well as the short-term. Not me getting what I want right now, but also, if I do this, what's it going to make my life look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 10 minutes from now? So I'm glad to see that a lot of you have the wisdom in your mix, because that's really important. And peace, the peace life lesson, we need that too. You know, it's kind of like the resurrection of the 60s and the peaceniks, except it's a little different this time around. That school is more about effectively prioritizing your life to make sure that you take care of the really important things first. And all of us have a bit of all of this, but you guys are predominantly loopy. Predominantly loopy. Predominantly love. So that means that, you know, emotional connections, like people in the School of Love generally, if you're in business and you have a business deal with somebody, you may or may not also have a personal connection with them. But if you don't feel some sort of connection, emotional connection with them in some way, when they walk out the door, they just cease to exist. Because there's no connection there. There's no heart connection there. And that's important to the love people. And yet, our society has really got the whole love concept messed up. We've really got it messed up on all levels. So I'm very encouraged to see that you guys are in that school and have actually taken that as a lesson, because we need to learn more about that. We need to bring more positive love energy into the planet. How many of you are in relationship right now? Romantic? None.
Just got out of
Okay then. All righty then. Actually, you know, I find that encouraging in a way. I do. And one of the things I love about your generation is that compared to my generation, you're all a little more androgynous, sort of more balanced with your male and female energies than my generation was. And you have to remember that every generation, and I look at a generation from this aspect as about every two, not necessarily your parents, but say my generation to your generation kind of skips one generation, which would be your parents' age. You're absolutely driven to do something different than the generations before you. You have to. It's part of the game. You have to change something up. That is absolutely required. So if we go back to, say, my grandparents' generation, which was World War II, and their children, which would have been my parents, the children of the young adults through World War II got off the farms. They got off the farms. Mainly people lived in rural areas prior to that. There were some cities, but that's when people really started migrating to the cities. They wanted a different kind of life. They didn't want to be farmers anymore. They wanted to do something different. And there was a lot of opportunity in World War II. So that was the generation that began sort of the acquisition of stuff as a life process, what they wanted to do, how much stuff. He who has the most toys wins. So that was kind of the game going on then, right? And so that's gone on and on and on till we get to really your generation now, and it's like, I don't see y'all being nearly as stuff-oriented as generations before you. Driven to have stuff. Are you? Do you feel you are? No, see, I don't get that at all. So that's good. Kinda, sorta? Kinda, sorta? But you want pretty stuff. Yeah. Okay. So, but what I see happening is that now you guys are more attuned or becoming more attuned to the planet, to what we're doing with the planet. I know my son told me, he's 31, so he's 10 years older than you guys, but he told me as of January 1st, he and his fiance are going to try to go to a completely plasticless house. It's like, well, good luck with that.
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, that's not easy to do. He said, I know it's going to be hard, but we're going to at least try. 2 years ago, he and some friends of his said, okay, this year we are going to commit not to buy more than 5 things that aren't essentials, like toiletries and stuff like that. No more than 5 new things in a year. Now, they could go to resale shops if they had to. That didn't count. But they would not buy anything brand new, more than 5 things in a whole year. That was pretty tough. Mm-hmm. But they did it. Well, at least they said they did. They may have cheated. I don't know. But they were at least bringing an awareness to themselves that, hey, we can do things differently. We don't have to have all this stuff. Let's really think about what stuff we do want and what is really kind of unnecessary. So as I see it, the generations coming up now are becoming more attuned to the planet, to the existence, how to play this game. See, you guys grew up on video games, right? I really do believe that video games were created to help us understand our existence. I do. I think it's like these numbskulls down here aren't getting it. We got to give them a game so they'll get used to playing this stuff. And I interviewed a doctor when I was doing TV shows a few years ago, and he was one of those surgeons that does it all by remote control, And he said, I grew up playing video games. This is like second net. Now he's doing like heart surgery instead of video games. But nevertheless, I do think that it is a great way to look at how we can exist and live and why we're here on the planet. I think this is one of the premier 3D video games in the universe. And I think there are others too. This just happens to be a really good one. And I think we want to come here and play this game. And one of the main things that we get in this arena that we don't get outside of this arena, or maybe in other arenas, is the sense of touch. The tactile. Yeah. So, boy, we screwed that up too, right? So I think real healthy touch is so very important. And I think you guys are going to end up getting that right a lot better than we did. But that pendulum had to swing all the way over here because it'd already been over here. So now we're just coming to that just right for it to mix my metaphors. So, questions about that? No? Comments? Complaints? No complaints. No complaints.
No complaints.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope that you will all take what resonates with you and take it to heart and play with that. And whatever doesn't resonate with you, just let it go. And maybe it will come back to you someday, and maybe it won't. And there's no right or wrong about that. Yes, ma'am.
Can you speak to them a little bit about the shape of the hands? Like the thumbs and just a little bit?
Oh, sure. All right, let me see if I can find, let's talk about thumbs. Let me see if I can find a particular
Good
kind in
thumb.
here. Let me see yours, Alan. No? Okay. I was looking for a particular thumb type, but none of y'all have it. And that's actually a good thing. But if you ever see somebody with like really thick thumbs that have no waist right here, none at all, check that out. They're know-it-alls. And when you tell them that, they go, yeah, that's right. I mean, they're very irritating. Are you close? No, you have a nice waist on your thumb. Yeah. So if you look at, everybody hold your hands up like this. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to say Helen and Alan, especially. Sean a little bit. The way you hold up your hands indicates leadership, tremendous leadership energy. Doesn't mean that the rest of you can't be leaders. I'm just saying that it indicates that right now in your life, leadership is important. I'm going to tell you how, when you hold up your hands, the more out the thumb is, if the thumb's up. But if you want to get into leadership, start pulling your thumbs back. Work that energy. But not everybody wants to do that. It's not always a fun job. So if you look at my hands, you see my fingers are shorter than my palms. Got these little squatty body fingers. That's a big picture person. Yours are pretty short too. Really long fingers are very detail oriented. So let me see. You're more big picture. But you see these people with really long fingers, and well, if they're longer than their palms, then they're very detail oriented. They're often artists, actually, but they're often nitpickers too. Perfectionists. So, everybody hold up your hands again. All right. Nobody in here. If you see anybody that has all three of these fingers the same length, nobody in this room. This is a good thing too. Those are people who truly believe the rules weren't made for them. So like if you have a friend or whatever, and they're always in trouble or whatever. I mean, there are people who, I had a friend that had fingers like that, almost straight across. And that was absolutely true of him. Just, everybody else can follow those rules, but not me. So there's lots of things you can tell about people just from a little bit of hand information. Let me see, everybody hold out your hands. I want to see something else. Y'all are all pretty clean. Thank you for washing your hands. No, and that's not what I mean. But no, you don't have, like, you see some people and they have a whole lot of lines in their hands. It's a lot of fire energy. You guys all have pretty nice, clean hands. And there's nothing wrong with a lot of energy, depending on where it is. But when you look at your hands, the more of anything there is, the more of it there is. So if there are a lot of lines, there's a lot of stuff going on. And the cleaner the hands, now when you see hands, and I don't see any here that, well, you kind of centurion. The hands that have just 3 lines and that's all that's in them. Let me see if we have any. Well, I would say, of the room, you two come closest to what I call centurion hands, which is interesting for an artist, because centurions are the kind that the people who understand truth, honor, loyalty, and respect to a really high degree. They expect that from people. I think I talked to you about this in your reading, didn't I? So generally they feel like there are people who understand and live by those concepts, and there are assholes, and there's nothing in between. So they have a really high standard of integrity for the people around them and for themselves. And sometimes they're very black and white. Things are either right or wrong. But it's when they start getting into the gray area, especially for an artist, that you find true beauty. True, if you allow yourself to get into that gray area. What does this really mean? Is this right? Is this wrong? Do you understand that you might be like that? A little black and white in your thinking? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hard to get to your artistry as long as you stay completely in the black and white. But don't lose all of that, because the centurions are the people who are keeping truth, honor, loyalty, and respect on the planet, and we need that. We need that, but it's just about not getting too rigid in it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. I think we're cooked, right? We're cooked. Okay. So I'll just say thank you very much and good night.
Thank you.